The penthouse suite of Pinnacle Medical Center was a sterile fortress, its silence shattered only by the relentless beep of heart monitors. Ethan Caldwell, a tech billionaire and one of the few black CEOs to command a Fortune 500 company, lay motionless in his hospital bed. A jagged scar, red and raw, snaked across his right temple, a brutal memento of the private jet crash that had nearly ended him 21 days ago. To the world, his board. His family, the media. Ethan was a man lost to a deep coma, his empire teetering on the brink. But the world was deceived. On the 5th day after the crash, Ethan's eyes had fluttered open, his mind slicing through the fog of sedatives like a blade. He'd chosen to remain still, eyes closed, breathing measured for one chilling reason: the crash was no accident. Someone had tampered with his jet, and Ethan would unmask them by letting them believe he was already gone. In the shadows of his feigned coma, he listened, planned, and waited. The glass door of Ethan's suite muffled the voices beyond, but they cut through the silence with surgical precision. Sophia Caldwell, his wife of 12 years, stood with Marcus Caldwell, Ethan's older brother and COO of Caldwell Innovations. Their words were a betrayal laid bare. "We can't wait any longer," Marcus Sophia said, her voice taut with urgency. "The board's restless and Solaris energy is circling like vultures. If Ethan's condition leaks, our stock will tank. We need to move now." "Patience." Sophia Marcus replied, his tone smooth, but laced with a hunger Ethan knew too well. 2 days, and the board will trigger the incapacitation clause. Dr. Kessler's reports are ironclad. Solaris has promised $2 billion if we deliver control. They'll bury Helios for good. Ethan's pulse surged, though his body remained a statue. Project Helios Caldwell. Innovation's secret weapon was a solar technology poised to revolutionize energy access, slashing costs for low-income communities. Ethan had guarded its details fiercely, sharing them only with his inner circle, Lena Washington, his lawyer and mentor, and Amara Okoye, his lead engineer. Now the truth crystallized. The crash wasn't just an attempt on his life, it was a strike against Helios, orchestrated by those he trusted most. "What about Lena Washington?" Sophia asked, her voice dropping to a hiss. "She's sniffing around, demanding Ethan's original medical scans. She's not buying Kessler's story." "Lena's a problem we're solving," Marcus said, his words cold as steel. "I've got a contact at the Bar Association. Forged emails surfaced in her office, bribery, client fraud. She'll be disbarred by next week, too busy saving her career to bother us." Ethan's blood boiled, his fingers twitching imperceptibly. Lena, a black woman who'd clawed her way through the legal world's glass ceilings, had been his rock since Yale Law School. She'd faced down racist board members and skeptical investors, alongside him, building Caldwell Innovations into a titan. Now they were framing her, dismantling her legacies, as they'd tried to dismantle his. The door slid open, and new footsteps entered. Light, deliberate, accompanied by the faint scent of cedarwood. "Good evening, Mr. Caldwell," a woman's voice said, clear and steady, voice of the saccharine pity Ethan had grown to despise. "I'm Nia Brooks, your new night nurse." Ethan sensed her moving around the room, her hands efficient as she checked monitors and adjusted his IV. "Your vitals are stable," she said, scribbling notes. "That's promising." A pause, then the creak of a chair as she sat beside him. "I don't know if you can hear me," Nia said, her voice softening, "but I need to say this. I wasn't supposed to be here." Ethan's curiosity stirred, though he kept his breathing even. "I was hired last minute to replace your previous nurse. They said she quit, but I don't believe it." Nia continued, her tone confessional. "Last night I checked your chart. The sedation levels are dangerously high, way beyond protocol for your condition. And the reflex tests, they're inconsistent, like someone's cooking the books." She leaned closer, her voice a whisper. I'm not just a nurse, Mr. Caldwell. I'm a forensic neurologist. Someone's keeping you under, and I'm going to find out why." Ethan's heart skipped a flicker too subtle for the monitors. Naya stood adjusting his IV. "I'm lowering your dose just enough to stay under the radar. If you're in there, hold on. I'll get you out." The door opened again, and Naya's tone shifted to professional calm. "Just updating the chart, Dr. Kessler," she said. "Carry on." Nurse Kessler replied. His voice clipped. "I'll take over." As the door closed, Ethan felt a spark of hope pierce the dread. He wasn't alone anymore, but Nia didn't know the full truth. Ethan was already awake, and behind his closed eyes, a plan was forming, one that would turn his enemy's betrayal into their downfall. That night, as the hospital slept, Ethan's mind churned. He replayed his last conversation with Sophia 4 weeks before the crash. She'd stood in their penthouse, her eyes pleading. "Ethan, Zoe needs you. She's turning 9, and you've missed every school play this year. Take a break. Helios can wait." "I'll be there," Ethan had promised, already distracted by a text from Amara about the prototype, after the next funding round. He'd missed Zoe's birthday too, consumed with securing investors, to notice Sophia's silence, the way her smile had faded. Had his obsession with Helios pushed her into Marcus's arms? The thought was a knife twisting deeper than the scar on his temple. He thought of Zoe, her gap-toothed grin, as she showed him her science fair project, a solar-powered toy car. "Like your work, Daddy," she'd said. Ethan had hugged her, but his mind was already on the next board meeting. Now, lying in this bed, he wondered if Zoe would ever forgive him, or if Sophia's betrayal had poisoned her against him. The next evening, Naya returned her footsteps cautious. "Mr. Caldwell, if you can hear me, I need a sign," she whispered, adjusting his pillow. Ethan hesitated, then twitched his thumb, once a risk he hadn't planned to take so soon. Naya froze, her breath catching. "You're awake." Another twitch, her eyes widened, then narrowed with determination. "Okay, we need a code. 1 twitch for yes, 2 for no. Blink if you understand." Ethan blinked. Over the next hour, they devised a system using lettered cards Naya smuggled in. Ethan spelled out words slowly, each movement a battle against the lingering sedatives. Plain sabotaged, he communicated first, who Naya asked, her voice barely audible. "Sophia. Marcus. Solaris." Naya's face paled. Solaris Energy. The fossil fuel giant. "Why Helios?" Naya nodded, her jaw tightening. "I grew up in West Oakland where power bills ate half our rent. Helios could have changed lives like mine. No wonder they're scared." Her words hit Ethan like a punch. Naya wasn't just a nurse, she had a personal stake in this fight. But trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. He'd been burned by those closest to him. What if Naya had her own agenda? Over the next 3 days, Nia became Ethan's lifeline. She reported Marcus's frequent visits, always with Dr. Kessler, who hovered over the medical records, like a vulture. Sophia appeared only once, her perfume sharp in the sterile air. "She didn't touch you," Naya whispered one night. She stood by the window checking her phone. "I saw her texting someone looked like a lawyer." Ethan's heart twisted. Sophia had once curled up beside him on their couch, laughing at old sci-fi movies. Now she was plotting his demise while he lay dying. He spelled out, "Check her phone records." Nia nodded. "I've got a contact who can help, but it's risky." Nia's own risks were mounting. On the 4th night, she slipped into the room, her face tense. "I got a text last night," she said, checking the door. Anonymous. It said, "Stop digging or Jamal pays." "My brother. He's 16 lives with my mom in Oakland. I don't know how they found him." Ethan spelled out, "Leave. Protect him." "No," Naya said fiercely. "If I back off, you're done. And Helios with you? Jamal would never forgive me if I let this go." Her defiance stirred something in Ethan, admiration, but also fear. Naya was risking everything for a stranger. Why he couldn't shake the suspicion that she might be playing a longer game. That night, Naya recorded a conversation in the hallway. Marcus's voice was low urgent. The board votes in 48 hours. Kessler, your final report better confirm permanent brain damage, or Solaris pulls their funding. It's ready, Kessler replied, nervous. But Brooks, she's asking questions. She accessed the sedation logs. Handle it, Marcus snapped. Fire her. Or worse. Nia's hands shook as she played the recording for Ethan. They're on to me, she said. But I've got something else. I sent an anonymous tip to Lena Washington about the ethics charges. She's fighting back, but she needs hard evidence. Ethan blinked once. Safe. Office. Helios files, he spelled out, directing Naya to a hidden compartment in his desk, containing encrypted data on Solaris's interference. Naya hesitated. If I go, they'll notice I'm gone. Kessler's watching me like a hawk, Sandamara Ethan replied. Amara Okoye, his lead engineer, was one of the few he still trusted. But even that trust felt fragile now. The next day, Naya's absence was conspicuous. She'd slipped out at dawn to meet Amara, leaving a junior nurse in her place. Ethan lay in his bed, the monitor's beeps a metronome to his growing anxiety. Had Naya been caught? Had she betrayed him? The questions gnawed at him, each hour stretching into eternity. At midnight, Nia returned, her face pale but resolute. Amara got the files, she whispered, slipping a USB drive into her pocket. But we had a close call. Marcus's assistant was in your office snooping. Amara had to hide in a closet for an hour. Ethan blinked twice. Dangerous. I know, Naya said, her voice tight. But we're running out of time. I checked Sophia's phone records, hacked them through my contact. She's been texting a Solaris VP, someone named Victor Lang. They mentioned neutralizing Helios and permanent measures. Ethan's mind raced. Victor Lang was a shadow in the energy world, known for ruthless takeovers. If Solaris was this deep in the game, the stakes were higher than he'd imagined. Naya's eyes met his, and for a moment, vulnerability flickered. I'm scared, Ethan, she admitted. Not just for Jamal, but for you, if they find out you're awake. Ethan spelled out, trust you. Naya's breath hitched. You don't even know me. Know enough, he replied. It was a lie. He didn't fully trust her, not yet. But he needed her, and that was a truth he couldn't escape. The next night, Naya brought a visitor. This is Dr. Aisha Patel, a forensic neurologist, she whispered, locking the door. I trust her with my life. Dr. Patel examined Ethan discreetly, her hand steady despite the risk. No permanent damage, she confirmed. The sedation's criminal. If we don't act soon, it could cause real harm. We need undeniable proof, Naya said. Something that'll hold up in court. I have a plan, Patel said, pulling a portable EEG from her bag. We'll run a covert scan tonight. Prove Ethan's brain activity is normal. But we need to move him to a safe location before the board vote. Marcus has eyes everywhere. Ethan's stomach churned. Moving him was a gamble. He was still weak, and the hospital was a fortress. But staying was a death sentence. At 2 a.m., Nia and Patel wheeled Ethan's bed to a service elevator, disguised as a routine transfer. Ethan's heart pounded, his body tense beneath the sheets. The plan was simple, but perilous. Get to a safe house Amara had secured, then prepare for the board vote in 24 hours. As the elevator descended, a security guard blocked their path in the basement, his hand on a radio. Where's the transfer order? He demanded, eyes narrowing at Naya. Naya's voice was calm, but her hand tightened on the bedrail. Dr. Kessler signed it. Check the system. The guard hesitated, then reached for his radio. Patel moved like lightning, spraying him with a sedative from her medical kit. He slumped to the floor, unconscious. Go, she hissed. They raced to a waiting van driven by Amara. You look like hell, boss. Amara said, grinning despite the tension. "Let's get you to that boardroom." As they sped through the city, a black SUV appeared in the rearview mirror, gaining fast. Solaris Nia asked, her voice tight. "Or Marcus's hired muscle," Amara said, flooring the gas. The SUV rammed their bumper, sending the van lurching. Ethan, strapped to a stretcher, gritted his teeth, pain flaring through his ribs. Nia climbed into the back, grabbing a tire iron. "Keep driving," she shouted. When the SUV pulled alongside, she smashed its side window, forcing it to swerve. Amara took a sharp turn, losing the pursuers in a maze of alleys. "We're clear," Amara panted. "But we've got 20 minutes before the vote." At the safe house, a nondescript warehouse in the industrial district, Lena Washington was waiting, her face grim. "You made it," she said, helping Ethan into a chair. "But we've got a problem. Gerald Harper, one of the board members, is in Solaris's pocket. He's pushing to expedite the vote." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Then we hit them harder." "Show me the files." Lena handed him a laptop, the USB drive already plugged in. The files detailed Solaris's campaign against Helios, bribed regulators, sabotaged suppliers, and now the jet crash. But one document stopped Ethan cold, a memo from Victor Lang referencing a quantum key within Helios's tech. Ethan's blood ran cold. Helios wasn't just about energy. Its core algorithm could unlock quantum encryption, a game changer for cybersecurity, or a weapon in the wrong hands. Solaris didn't just want Helios stopped. They wanted it for themselves. The Caldwell Innovations boardroom was a battlefield, the air thick with greed and fear. Marcus stood at the head of the table, passing out falsified medical reports, his smile a predator's. Sophia sat beside him, her face pale but composed, clutching a diamond bracelet Ethan had given her years ago, a cruel irony. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus began, "my brother's condition is irreversible. Dr. Kessler's report confirms it. We must transfer executive powers to stabilize the company. Solaris Energy is prepared to invest $2 billion if we act now." Amara Okoye, seated at the table, gripped her phone, her recording app active. But her eyes flicked to Gerald Harper, who was watching her with a predator's calm. She'd barely made it to the meeting, having dodged Marcus's assistant earlier that day. "This feels rushed," Marcus Amara said, her voice steady. Ethan was healthy before the crash. "Where's Kessler to explain this report?" Marcus's smile tightened. "He's unavailable, Amara. The report speaks for itself." "Does it?" Ethan's voice cut through the room like a thunderclap. The boardroom doors flew open, and Ethan stepped inside, leaning on a cane but radiating defiance. Nia and Dr. Patel flanked him, while Lena Washington followed, her briefcase brimming with evidence. The board gasped, chairs scraping as they turned. Sophia's bracelet clattered to the floor. Marcus stumbled back, his face ashen. You're supposed to be," he stammered. "Dead." Ethan finished, his voice cold. "Sorry to disappoint you, brother." Gerald Harper stood, his voice oily. "This is highly irregular, Ethan. You've been incapacitated. We need medical confirmation." "Sit down, Gerald," Ethan snapped. "Or would you like Solaris's board to know about the $5 million you funneled from their accounts?" Harper's face went slack, and he sank into his chair. Dr. Patel placed the EEG results on the table. Ethan Caldwell was kept in an artificial coma through excessive sedation. His brain activity is normal. This was attempted murder. "Preposterous," Sophia cried, leaping to her feet. She turned to Ethan, her eyes pleading. "You're confused, Ethan. The crash, the medication, it's warped your mind. You left me no choice. You were always gone chasing Helios, ignoring Zoe, ignoring us." Ethan's chest tightened. Sophia wasn't wrong. He'd prioritized Helios, thinking it was for their future. But her betrayal was a choice. "You didn't just betray me, Sophia," he said quietly. "You betrayed Zoe. Our daughter deserves better than a mother who'd sell her father's life Lena opened her briefcase, distributing documents. Emails between Marcus Caldwell, Sophia Caldwell, and Victor Lang of Solaris, outlining the jet sabotage. Bank records show payments to Dr. Kessler from a Solaris shell company starting a week before the crash. The board murmured shock, turning to outrage. Marcus's eyes darted to the door, but Ethan stepped closer, his cane tapping the floor. "You always hated being second, Marcus," he said, his voice low. "I gave you everything Position Wealth Trust, and you sold me out to Solaris because you couldn't stand my shadow." Marcus's face twisted, not with anger, but with anguish. "You never saw me, Ethan," he whispered. "Dad chose you, the board chose you. Even Sophia chose you, until she didn't. Solaris gave me a chance to be someone." For a moment, Ethan saw the boy Marcus had been always trailing behind, desperate for approval. But pity couldn't erase the blood on his hands. Naya held up a tablet playing a video Marcus in the hospital, telling Kessler, "Keep him sedated until the vote." "Solaris wants Helios dead, and so do I." The board erupted. Harper tried to slip out, but Amara blocked his path. "Going somewhere," Gerald Marcus snapped. He lunged at Naya, grabbing for the tablet. "You'll ruin everything," he roared. Ethan swung his cane, catching Marcus's wrist, but Marcus shoved him back, sending him crashing into a chair. Pain flared through Ethan's ribs, but Naya tackled Marcus, pinning him to the table. "Enough," she shouted, her voice raw. "You're done." Security guards stormed in, cuffing Marcus and Sophia. As they were dragged away, Sophia's eyes met Ethan's, not with remorse, but with defiance. "Solaris owns more than you think," she hissed. "You'll never stop them." Ethan stood, ignoring the pain. "Watch me." 6 months later, Caldwell Innovations was a beacon of change. Helios panels gleamed on the headquarters roof, and pilot projects in low-income neighborhoods had cut energy bills by 80%. The stock had soared 50%, proving that purpose could be profitable. Marcus was serving 18 years for attempted murder and fraud. Sophia had taken a plea deal for 10. Dr. Kessler faced trial, his license revoked. Ethan stood in his redesigned office, watching the city skyline. A glass plaque in the lobby bore Nia's words, etched from a late-night hospital conversation. "True strength is not in the power you hold, but in how you wield it when it's threatened." The Caldwell Brooks Foundation, funded by 35% of Helios's profits, was reforming hospital ethics nationwide, with safeguards like encrypted patient cameras and independent oversight. Naya entered holding a tablet. "You've got to see this," she said, playing a video of kids in a Detroit school marveling at Helios-powered lights. "We're changing lives, Ethan." He smiled, but his eyes were distant. "What about Solaris? Any movement?" Nia's face tightened. "Lena's digging, but they've gone quiet. Too quiet." Amara burst in, followed by Lena. "We've got a problem," Amara said, tossing a folder on the desk. "A whistleblower from Solaris sent this. Helios's core algorithm was leaked last week to a black market buyer. Someone inside our team is working for them." Ethan's blood ran cold. He trusted Naya, Lena, and Amara with his life, but his inner circle was larger now. Someone had betrayed him again. That night, as Ethan and Naya reviewed security logs, a new email arrived, anonymous and encrypted. It contained a single line. "Helios is just the beginning. Solaris knows your secret." Ethan froze. There was one truth he'd kept. Even from Naya, Helios's core algorithm could unlock quantum encryption, a game-changer for cybersecurity or a weapon in the wrong hands. Solaris didn't just want Helios stopped, they wanted it for themselves. Naya touched his arm, her eyes fierce. "Whatever's coming, we'll face it together." Ethan nodded, but as he looked out at the city, he knew the real war was just beginning. In a dimly lit office 3,000 miles away, a man in a tailored suit read the anonymous email on his screen. Caldwell's alive, he muttered, crushing the paper in his hand. And Helios is online. He turned to a shadowed figure in the corner. Activate the contingency. If Ethan won't back down, we'll take everything: his company, his allies, his daughter. The figure nodded, slipping a photo of Zoe Caldwell into their pocket. The game was far from over.